Umpire Farmer tosses the ball up and away we go second half. One down by Sydney. Taking it away is Bolton. Pike's been okay. First handed the ball a lot this afternoon. McVeigh close to the boundary. Hargrave in game 200. Just the one Brownlow vote. Obviously, Blakey gets all the publicity, but he hasn't bothered the umpires too much either, Ryan Hargrave.
He's really pleased you mentioned that, Ben. In his 200. You've had a couple of goes at him today.
It's parenthood.
Quick handball out by Cross. And there is Hargrave doing something good. Dalhouse and then O'Keefe. And Vez Premi, not sure if that was the right way to go. Well done, though, Austin. He gets it out. He sure had a spectacular 5 minutes, didn't he, in that second term, and he belts it forward. And Jude Bolton, I'm not sure spectacular and Jude go in the same sentence, but effective and Jude go in the same sentence, and a lot of other adjectives.
I was going to say, Bruce, starting with their two of their prime movers in the forward 50, the Swans, with Shane Mumford out of the square and Jared McVeigh also starting in the forward 50, but on this occasion, Jude Bolton with his direct opponent Liam Pickens taking him into the forward 50. Shot on goal. So
he kicked the opening goal of the match, and he's got the opening goal of the second half. A couple for Bolton, and Sydney get to a 52-point lead.
Well, the advantage of playing in front, they scrambled it inside the 50, and Bolton got on the end of it. He's had a very good day. Runner-up in the best and fairest last season. He's been one of the real success stories. I think it's fair to say left Collingwood under something of a cloud. For whatever reason, it wasn't working out there. Well, he's made this his home.
In front, forward in front, you're going to take them all day. And the release of Picken has been, he's gone to Jude Bolton now, so it'll be another tough task for Picken today.
Pike won it down again. Spills wide of the centre circles. John Siracusa had a go at it, didn't move it very far. Coming up the ground is Higgins, tackled by Shaw, the perfect tackle. Pike just laid it off. Jack, who's been very industrious, comes to Jetta. Jetta feeds it back. Kennedy with time. Kicks down towards the attacking 50, and the ball spills out of bounds.
Pretty miserly conditions out there, but we've seen some remarkable ball handling skills. The one-handed mark from Reece Shaw in the second quarter, I should say, and that one-handed take from Lewis Jetta was outstanding.
Sense of deja vu to start this term. Of course, Bolton got the first goal. Gets the first goal of the third quarter as well. Scramble. Eventually, it spills wide. Jack gave it across to Shaw. Shaw drives it into about the spot where he took that one-hander. Getting back is Hargrave. He's got the ball covered. Took a while. Just chips it to open space and doesn't hit the target. So Lake took a swing and missed. He's done that a couple of times today. McVeigh over the top. Smith under pressure. Kicks it back inside the forward 50. Off hands. Well done by Vez Premi. He needed to play well, and he did that time. Kept his eye on the footy.
John Siracusa was the third man up, but Smithy's opponent. Oh, McVeigh was so clever there. He drew Cooney away from him. Kicks to full forward.
Oh.
Well, no mark to Mummy. He's a bit stiff, isn't he? Griffin belting the ball out. And that's good hands by Roughhead. And takes the mark.
It's great play by Griffin, pushing back as a midfielder and helping out on the tools.
Higgins' very first touch today didn't work out, and he hasn't done much since, to be truthful. And Pike liked him a lot. Kicks the ball to full forward, and good courage by Addison when he's got spades of that Addison. He knew that there was some cavalry arriving, but no problems. Roughhead.
Not sure Brendan McCann will be happy with all those kicks off the ground where they're missing. In conditions like that, you've got to really body line it and get your head over it.
Kick half-back, Shaw, so prominent. Cordy. And Griffin and a boundary throw in. So Sydney in control. They got the opening goal. Bolton after the flying start. Reece Shaw so good, as Dennis said when he left Collingwood. I think a lot of people thought, well, he might have run his race. And there's Jude Bolton's numbers. They're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
He worked with us one day last season, didn't he, Bruce?
Jude, he does. In fact, yep, he's got a future. He was very good with us.
Yeah, I thought it was a precursor to his retirement and a life in the media, like Tom, just sort of hanging up the boots. But obviously he hated it because it's been the incentive for him to play even better than he has at any time during his career. You know?
I think he's still on the list then.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. You may have taken a look at Tom too and thought, well, that's what happens. Well, out of the congestion cross, only as far as Matner. Matner lines up from 45, and he's missed it out to the left.
First miss at that end all day for the Swans.
So many of these guys that sort of step into a TV or radio studio these days are so good at it, aren't they? So confident. Not all, but a lot of them.
Who's not?
Got a couple of numbers I'll scribble down with clubs, Bruce, but, you know.
I was trying to work out where this conversation was going. Do you want me to leave the room,
By
Dennis?
and large. No, you're media. You're 100 proof now.
You enjoying the match, Dennis?
I am. We've got a boundary throw in, Bruce.
Had a lot of them today.
Don't take the high moral ground on me.
Pike being really good. Cooney running hard, but they're going the wrong way, and they've been doing a lot of that today. I heard the umpy, Boyd. Quite his first half, but he wasn't alone. And how many times have we seen this today where they've kicked the ball forward and the Swans have had all the numbers in the back half? Richards has had big numbers today, and that one good to Johnson. Do you reckon he stopped at half-time to have a look at the half-time show, Tom? Johnson's kick to Jack. Being ignored, probably a good thing. So Grundy.
That was a great interview.
To Bolton. So Bolton giving up. Reece Shaw, he's been the one bloke that's been able to run and bounce on a day like today. He's done it a few times. And then a long kick to about 30 metres.
Liberatore almost. Well played by O'Keefe. Just laid it into the path of McGlynn, who goes in and kicks the goal. Well, bad luck for Tommy Liberatore. Needed to hang on there, didn't, and as a result, all too easy. We've seen that a lot, those running players coming up the ground and just storming into open goals. And again there, McGlynn getting, what, his first of the afternoon, Bruce?
Yeah. Eighth, I think he's the 8th goal kicker for, 8th individual goal kicker for the Swans.
Again, it's the transition from defence. The defensive structures so far with Ted Richards and Heath Grundy, the like, have been really solid. And Sticky McGlynn comes up and kicks another one.
Reece Shaw, 4 inside 50s. He's been so creative off that half-back line. Cooney. So let's see where the leadership comes for the Dogs on the field in the second half. See which players can get their hands on the ball and make a bit of a difference, because they're being wiped away here now after being really competitive. They had a couple of bad matches early in the season, but they bounced back. And I think they've been really good the last month or two, the last 5 weeks, but not today. That one cut off by Liberatore. He's only had the 4 disposals, Libber. Held up Kennedy, back to Richards, almost threw it away. Here's Liberatore again. Brought down Jan Siracusa, rough head off a step. Sydney with numbers. A good contest there by Higgins. And a little give there by Johnson. Didn't quite get to Smith. Higgins fought hard. Liberatore trying to get the ball out to Dixon. And that ball now almost out. Hanbury, a great first half. Slippery footy still. And now not coming out. And there'll be a ball up about 40 metres from the Dogs' goal.
Bruce, I really do think the endeavour's been there from the Western Bulldogs, and I think that's been one of the things that's been positive for them. But it is the spread. It's the numbers around here. And even on this occasion here, the Sydney Swans have the players on the outer ring 5 to 7 metres away from the stoppage and can clear the ball.
O'Keefe driving it up towards the wing. Forward of the pack, an opportunity for Sydney. Down with Hanbury, taken by Boyd. Long ball, Cordy. Outnumbered, outmuscled, and the ball goes out of bounds. Coming back strongly, Richards. So now it's 34 minutes since the Bulldogs have scored. And in that time, Sydney have added 3-6.
And the Swans are dominating inside 50s. At the moment, it's 41 to 25. That's a big discrepancy.
Rough head, got first hand to it. Comes back to Hanbury, Kennedy, and now O'Keefe again. Plenty of the ball in this term for O'Keefe. Close to the boundary line, knocked across by Austin. Wrestling there with Roberts-Thompson, and the umpire will do it again. Early going, third term, 78 plays 19. Evening setting in now at the SCG, and the lights are on.
Parker, the third man up there. He was in the big number bracket in that first half. Hargrave slipped it out well to Jan Siracusa, to Addison. Couldn't quite keep it in a boundary throw in. It's a rotten position for the Dogs, isn't it? Look at that scoreboard. Tells a tale. Roughhead picking himself up there. Not much they can do about the end result. But what sort of an effort can they put in the second half? Boyd got it from Liberatore, kicks the ball to about 60 metres. Dixon tried to trap it initially. McGlynn came in. Kennedy to Johnson. And then Hargrave and Austin there with Roberts Thompson. And again, a boundary throw in.
We just saw from that stoppage the quick kick by Boyd. That's probably where the Swans are being more effective at the moment. They're used to the ball out of the stoppages. Even though Bulldogs are up on top of clearances, it's just scrappy and quick kicks like those, and the Swans are dominating in the effectiveness.
Talk about those boundary throw-ins, Dennis. Just told 60 boundary throw-ins today, which don't keep records on those, but I reckon that's a big number.
No doubting that, Bruce. Short one from Hargrave. Tempting the gods, going very close to the boundary again. The mark is taken by Addison. Wouldn't surprise you, I said he barracked for the Sydney Swans growing up. Well, Paul Kelly was his hero, and he plays very much the same way. Grundy close to the boundary line, it spills out. Not as gifted as Paul Kelly, but plays with the same spirit, Dylan Addison. So Mumford getting his minutes, but this is terrific for Sydney, really. In from the side, knocked down by Boyd, and as much as they can pace Mumford, because Pike is holding his own. Here's Hanbury, feeds it forward, taken by Kennedy. Kennedy comes across the ground. The runner skedaddles, leading back is Jack, and he soccers it. I think he was trying to get an angle on that so he could run on, but the ball just bobbled in front of him, and it went straight out of bounds.
So Craig Parry's in there, Dennis and Tom, just in the coaching box for the Bulldogs. So 20 years ago led the Masters and played a big part in our only win in the President's Cup.
Yes, well, fair to say it. Take some encouragement for the fact, well, he's a Bulldogs man. I was going to say take some encouragement from the fact that the Bulldogs are under par today, but probably not. There's Austin, short one. He was a Victorian who spent a lot of his life living in Western Australia. And when he was on, he was a terrific golfer. Got himself up for the big ones, didn't he, Bruce?
Just trying to remember the one where the long shot that he holed about 10 years ago, I guess. But Dalhouse was in America. It was an amazing shot at a big tournament.
Doral?
Was it Doral? Was it? So in Florida. So Dalhouse down the line. Grundy to Jack. Gee, Jack set the scene early, didn't he? Shaw's been magnificent. Loved his run and carry. Kicks the ball to a man who's been very effective today. And Roberts Thompson using the body. Just couldn't find it, but he was clever. Got it to Kennedy. Kennedy will say, I was looking for Hanbury. And Reid just got in the road, but I'm not quite sure that was the way or not. But great stuff. And Reece Shaw today. Things have happened when Reece Shaw has got the footy today.
Have a look at the run here, Bruce. He's playing directly on Patrick Vespremi. He put 5 metres on him straight away, and again, the uncomplicated way to get the ball into the forward 50. That would disappoint Coach McCartney, no doubt.
Well, the midfielders have kicked a lot of goals today for the Swans. Can Hanbury join the queue? He's had so much of the ball. It's a careful kick. And probably in the end, he steered it a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't kick through it.
Just on the blue dot, Ben.
But Sydney needed a good win. They'd had one win in their last 5, and that was against the Demons up here. And they're going to get that today, in a bit of percentage by the look of it, and get themselves strongly in that 5th spot, pressing on the top 4.
Margin 10 goals, almost a strong mark to cross. Down goes Jack. Sliding in out there was Liberatore. Into the path of Higgins. Sweeping it forward was Wallace. Taken close to the boundary line by Dixon. And Dixon, under pressure, kicks it out of bounds on the full. There's the first-year coach. He's been associated with a lot of success in the past as an assistant.
Even prior to that, Dennis coached 4 premierships for Ocean Grove down in the Bellarine Football League.
Not the first man to coach the Dogs without VFL AFL experience, though. Jim Cassidy coached them for 1 season in 1926. I would imagine because he wasn't back in 27, that didn't work out too well. But it would have been an experience for him. At least he had it on his CV. That's not Pumper, is it?
No, he's 49 years of age, Jimmy. I think he's 49 or 50, Jimmy Cassidy, the jockey.
Oh.
So, but that doesn't add up from 1926, does it?
Only you would know.
Well, I was going to suggest whether his name was Butch. Nickname was Butch, but probably before then too, I guess, was it?
No, yeah.
Oh, yes, rather truly. Well, they were around probably at the same time, I'd suggest, robbing trains. blowing them up. Rough knocks it down towards the boundary. Sliding in Wallace. Punched towards the line by Parker, and it goes out again. So I'll just test Josh and ask him if he can fire back the answer. This is boundary throw in number
62.
62. Took a while to come, actually. He's still working on that Essendon percentage, trying to get them on top. Here's Jack.
Well done to McVeigh, who hit the post on half-time and just misses again. So Sydney completely on top now. All those inside 50s that Brett talked about earlier.
This game's threatening to be a blowout. The sting's been taken out of it. The Swans are really controlling it.
Look at the contested possession count. Kirky, you've been on top of that. It's now 108, 107 to the Swans, so they'll take that one out pretty soon, you'd think.
Austin, it was good spoil there coming from Dennis Lane, Jetta, I should say, and the kick inside the 50. Roberts Thompson belted away by Wallace. Liberatore, McVeigh, that was a brilliant handball to Jetta. And that's a good kick by Jetta right to the front of the goal. Lake was courageous.
I've liked the look of Austin. He's the one that's probably got an opportunity this year with those big defenders going down. He played 15 games in 5 seasons with the Blues, and last week he did a great job in Podsiadly.
Yeah, another one of the recycled players getting an opportunity. Pickens kicked to Dalhouse, who was off, I think, but now to Cooney. And then Cooney kicking the ball to half forward. Now Cordy and Grundy. We like Cordy. Kicks the ball forward. It's not his sort of day, but he's going to be something, you would think. He's been at the club for a long time now, Cordy. What's he doing today? He's playing his 8th game. This is his 4th season at the club.
Yeah, father-son selection. Was one of those younger players coming through that, had he been in the draft, a lot of speculation, would have been a top 10 draft pick.
Played his footy at Geelong, Tom.
Yeah, Geelong College, and spent some time with the Falcons also.
Hanbury comes away. The game is played. Comes out wide. Jetta to open space. This suits him. Dropping back is Reid. He'll be dangerous. Murphy going with him. Now Reid has been run into a corner, a dead end, because Jetta now has to go all the way. Man came across to cover. Doesn't matter. Reid wasn't in the equation. Jetta gets the goal.
Spectacular. Just took the game on. I reckon he ran too far twice. Certainly the last time he ran 25, 30 metres here. I think he only had 2 running bounces and all the ground he covered, but thankfully the umpire didn't pull him up because it was a great finish.
How often you see players who have had a run like that get fatigued and butcher the ball, but that was a terrific finish.
He is something quite remarkable, isn't he? So he just covers the ground. Now he's run probably too far then. I reckon he's run far too far here. But he's running quickly and he's running hard, and what a finish, what a goal. So probably the highlight of the day. 13-8 to 3-1. Felt coming here, Brett, that he'd give us one at least after what he did last time, Jetta.
Yeah, definitely, Bruce. And that's what generally happens if a tagger gets taken off one of those prime movers. He gets a bit of space and then creates opportunities.
Pickens probably happy he wasn't on him for that moment, but he would have tried his guts out to get to him, but nobody was got to stop him. Johnson, Mattner on the wrong side, but he goes back to Grundy.
It looks across the ground. Hanbury metres in the clear. Now there's nothing on to that side unless he goes to Parker, who runs very hard. And now taking off is McGlynn. Step for step with him, though, is Addison. Addison goes over the top of McGlynn there, but it runs free to Jetta once more, who chips it and finds the lead from Reid this time. And he owed him one. Reid did a lot of hard running while Jetta was doing his running. Came at him, then went back and eventually was covered. So if you're the leading forward, when Jetta was doing what he was doing on this side of the ground, you want to see him kick the goal. Otherwise, you're not happy. And sometimes it's almost a grudging clap of the hands when he does kick the goal. Reid, 55 metres out, gives it a ride, always missing to the near side. But he's done some good work on the forward line today, overshadowed by the midfielders who have been coming down the ground and getting the goals, but Reid has been handy as well.
In the last 45 minutes, it's 4 goals, 9 to nothing. Now they kicked 9 straight early, so 4-9 to nothing in the last 3/4 of an hour of football playing time. So been a complete wipeout here.
Sam Reid's one player the Swans would love to get up and going. He's probably had a bit of a slow year compared to last year. So for him to get amongst the goals will give him some confidence and belief coming into the back end of the year.
Well, they're going to have the win. You felt like they had to have the Swans in a way after having that stumbly month. They're flat-track bullies in the last month, to be truthful. They've belted 2 teams underneath them on the ladder and haven't been able to do the job against the better teams, but they're a lot better than that. They've got a lot more spirit than that. We know that. And in a crazy year, why can't they be part of the mix? Here's a deliberate, so a free kick again here. This time going to the Swans, and Kieran Jack on the wrong side for him, but let's see if he goes to the top of the square. Gee.
A bit hard done by there. I mean,
sure.
Boyd was in the vicinity. Bit stiff there, Dylan Addison.
Does go to the top of the square and Reid. Well, there you go. That's exactly what Brett was talking about a moment ago. Started on the wing, didn't he, for the opening bounce today. He's looked likely all day. We saw him here last year have a fantastic match. He kicked badly the day we saw him. He could have kicked 5 or 6, but he's already got 1 today. I think he's got it. He's snuck it home.
Well, that's the second part of the equation that Brett was talking about, getting the footy and kicking a goal. So it gives him a couple, and I think his game today is showing that it's starting to turn around for him. He's had a couple of injuries too, and starting him on the wing, I think probably was trying to get him an early touch. So 93-19, and this is starting to look very embarrassing for the Bulldogs now.
Shot of Adam Goods there. We'll be talking to Adam at 3/4 time. Really looking forward to that. Can't wait to see him back on the footy field. But, gee, won't he be a top-up for the Swans when he's back playing?
I reckon he'll be relaxed when we talk to him too. Out of the middle. Forward go the Dogs, and a sliding mark is taken by Ves Premi.
The Dogs have activated their substitute. Pearce is on. Oh, sorry, Pearce. Yeah, Pearce is on for the substitute. Wood's off.
Okay, so maybe Wood wasn't totally fit. He got that one in the back too, which wouldn't have helped any, that knee in the back earlier in the game. So Ves Premi with a chance to get a consolation goal, but he hangs it out to the right, so behind. But it's over 40 minutes now since that last scored, so they'll take anything. McVeigh, meantime, takes off. He kicks it up towards the wing. Minson launches himself from behind. It's knocked forward down there by Parker. Opportunity wide of the pack for Johnson. Johnson bounces one towards half forward. Hand pass came across from Bird. Sending it back inside was Reid. Set Parker up. Socket off the ground by Bolton. Down towards half forward. Jack is in there. Tackled by a couple of Dogs. They all went to the man with the ball. Taken by Jetta. It's online. It's a goal. Right on the boundary, where the 50 meets the boundary. Lewis Jetta from long range. 2 miracle goals in this term.
How did he keep missing in the first year and a half? I mean, it's just the best kick. I mean, he's a magnificent kick. He's a beautiful field kick. Kicked 7 goals, 21 in his first season, and I think he might have been the first 19 of them were behinds. There was something like that, and everyone was talking about he just couldn't get a goal, but he's just a beautiful kick. He's kicked to 22 goals, 7 this year. Who's that, Tom?
It's Luke Parker.
Yeah, that was a hard knock.
Boyd. Yeah, the build-up here again. The Swans have just had great method on the outside around from the stoppages, but that's a marvellous finish there by Lewis Jetta. And we'll get Brett Kirk to give us an update on Luke Parker, who was collided with Matthew Boyd.
There was a massive hit by Boyd. Parker grabbed his shoulder straight away. Armstrong's taken off the substitute jacket. I imagine that'll be activated. They won't take any chances.
Okay, so that's about the only thing that's gone wrong for the Swans so far today. I mean, Jetta just so spectacular and so accurate. 19 consecutive behinds in his first season, Jetta. There's Armstrong, the ex-Crow. 19 consecutive behinds, and this year's kicked 22 goals, 7, and it's just such a beautiful kick. He is something right out of the box. Liberatore's kick forward. Cooney, I think he'll get a free.
Advantage!
So Griffin got the advantage. Well, John Siracusa, no real advantage, is it, in the end? I mean, Sydney with numbers forward. Front spot O'Keefe. Cordy tried to barge his way through. Dalehouse got down low. Cooney. Handball was clever. Vez Premi, I think he's goaled it. He has. So at long last, nearly 50 minutes since their last goal.
Well, they worked hard for that one. Vez Premi has kicked their entire score in this term after a break of close to 50 minutes. So they got those quick goals immediately after quarter time from, who was it, Picken? Liam Picken got them back to back, literally in the space of a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But since then it's been very dry. And the rain has stopped as well, but there's Premi getting that one.
Here's the collision right here with Luke Parker. He left himself open, and I reckon he's done himself some serious damage on the collarbone. He's gone straight down the race. Not good.
The man who applied the hit gets it out of the middle. Boyd kicks it down towards half forward. Cooney, quiet day, back to Boyd. Boyd right on the 50, way off target with a kick though. Good result for the Bulldogs. They'll get a boundary throw in alongside the behind post.
The Swans have activated that side. Tony Armstrong's on, the boy from Burrumbuttock.
And I said the race, I meant the bench, and with the ice pack there, he'll be pretty sore for a while, I think, Luke Parker.
Yeah, bad luck for him. He's enjoying good form at the moment. Here's Bird. Underestimated customer. He's very hard too. That kick under pressure goes to Griffin, who fires it back, and it bounces through for a minor score. So just having a little flurry here, the Dogs, which may be of their making, and maybe that Sydney are just easing off a little bit. Here's Shaw dashing through midfield. Got it from O'Keefe. This will be interesting. Dicey moment for Addison. Bounces obligingly for Dennis Lane. One bounce, runs into an open goal, coast to coast. 3 goals to Dennis Lane.
Well, best players for the Swans. They're going to have so many out there. I mean, the midfielders, Parker would have been in the mix. But Reece Shaw's game today, I know a lot of it's been maybe getting the ball in an uncontested situation, but I think his use of the ball has just been sensational. He's a courage to carry the ball on a wet day, and that was just a great kick. And as Dennis said, Dennis Cometti, that is, not Dennis Lane, he might have been saying exactly the same as Dennis. It was a bit dangerous when that ball got over the back, and he's kicked 3. Great stuff.
That's Dennis Lane's bread and butter, taking his opponent up and getting back quickly. And to be able to run full pace and bounce that ball is very special.
Is he in their best team, do you think, Brett? Is Dennis Lane in the best 22 for the Swans?
If he's up and going with that form, I think so, Bruce.
He gives that little X factor, doesn't he? Liberatore forward. I mean, Lewis Jetta gives a fair bit of X factor too, I guess. But here's Dixon. Good pick up in the pocket and hooking the ball back. Cordy with a chance. Couldn't quite. Good contest by Johnson. And then Nick Smith on the wrong side for him, but well played. And I wonder if Pike's in the best team. I've liked him today. Pike and Mumford, well, they play them together. It's the first time they've played together since Marnica round 7 last year in the one team, McGlynn.
I think pending fitness of Mumford. If Mumford, they've got confidence, as the Swans have got confidence, Mumford can run out the 100 minutes. I'm not sure there's a spot for Pike.
He's in front of Jesse White for the moment, though, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And a lot also depends on the availability of Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they'll play 3 tools all the time.
Yep. Well, it's worked all right on a wet day today, hasn't it? And speak of the Canadian.
Plays on to Hanbury. 78 points the margin. Hanbury through midfield, kicks inside the forward 50 off hands. Here's trouble. Well, they stepped aside, the 2 Swans, and coming through Murphy. Gives it across towards a teammate. Gets it back, drives it towards half forward. Vez Premi gets on the end of it again.
They haven't done enough of that, the Bulldogs, getting that ball at half back, taking the game on and kicking it long, getting over the Swans' defence.
Well, Murphy's the one, Den. You would have thought he was the one chance to do that regularly, and he did it then.
That was good run out of defence too, because it changed where the players were set up. They kicked it over quite a few of the Swans, and Vez Premi, the beneficiary. No, he hits the post.
Well, I was going to say, Dennis, I think one of the reasons why they haven't necessarily gone in long like that is the defensive setup by the Swans. They've been extremely disciplined in having their player directly behind the ball, which is causing indecision for the Dogs to go wide. I'm with Brett Kirk. I think their best avenue is a long one, particularly out of a centre clearance, and put the defenders under some pressure.
So Armstrong inside to McVeigh. Half volleyed it, but no, must have got his fingers underneath. Clever mark. Back to Shaw. Having a fantastic match. A couple of running bounces, and again a good kick. Jetta running onto it, didn't have to break. And then just held up, so some good structures for the dogs there. Jack, so good early when there was heat in the game. Dennis Lane and Minson belts the ball away. Boyd to run onto it and quickly belts the ball forward. Richards attacked it hard. Johnson couldn't quite. Dixon, Shaw. Ball hasn't quite got out. Roughhead, backward Dixon. Now they've got some problems maybe. Now it's almost out. So much like the rugby scrum now, isn't it? The way this ball just battling away and a ball up. So
the ironic thing is too that no one really wants it these days, because that's the one dangerous position in that pack, isn't it? You've got to get it cleanly and be able to break away or give it to somebody, otherwise it's of no use. Might get pinged. The ball goes out of bounds on the bounce. 38 seconds to go in the term.
That's why big bodies are becoming so important in that midfield. There's lots of scrimmages, lots of physical contact.
105 to 28 then. The margin was 46 at half-time. One-way traffic in this term. Minson slung. Higgins tracks it and it's out of bounds again. So that count on boundary throw-ins continues to rise. We predicted it coming in. Even on a fine day, these two sides would have had their share of clearances, but today, magnified by the weather. Missing it was Mumford.
Two hands in the side. Pushed him in the marking contest. That's it.
Heard the call. Minson drives it down towards the pocket. It's going to be a free kick, I think, to Cordy. In fact, it's Roughhead who's going to get it. Richards bemoaning his bad luck there, but so back-to-back free kicks for the Dogs can get them another goal. Maybe. Jordan Roughhead will kick after the siren, so he can't go around if that was his intention. Must stay on that straight line. Kick is on the way. Misses to the near side. Takes 1 point off the margin. It's 105 to 29, three-quarter time. As we start the final term, off hands taken by Boyd, hooks it down towards half forward for the Dogs. About 55 metres out, Liberatore lays it off. Kick goes inside the 50 from Griffin. Off hands, it falls in front. Smith to Bolton. He's been wonderful. So's this man, Shaw. How is that? Shaw handling. Smith gave it across to Bolton, to Jack, who kicks it beyond the wing. It's been that sort of afternoon. So tight, so solid, the Swans. Making it very hard for the Dogs, who have been reduced to kicking balls like that to their forward line. That was a good result, though. Standing his ground after Boyd launched it was Higgins.
Took a good mark, didn't he? So Higgins, few and far between opportunities today. It's the ball forward, and John Siracusa, I don't think, has had a shot on goal and a boundary throw-in. So that's the substitute situation. Let's hope Parker's not badly injured. Would also cop one in the knee in the back, didn't he, earlier on, coming back after 3 weeks out. Talked to Adam Goods about keeping the foot down on the Dogs. Well, the percentage is interesting at the moment. O'Keefe's kicked back. Good effort there by Bird. He did well, and then Kennedy stood up, and that kick will be marked by Austin. So Swans came in today with about 130. They're actually at the moment 140, the highest percentage of any team in the competition. So all important here that they keep going with this big lead at the back. John Siracusa puts the tackle on Smith, and I think it'll be a ball up. It will be.
You certainly got the feeling going into the game in the first couple of contests. It was a statement from the Sydney Swans, and that's what would have been reinforced at three-quarter time by the coach.
Tossed up as we watch John Longmire plotting and planning, but this one you think is in the bank. Away comes Grundy. Strange things happen in football, but not that strange, I wouldn't have thought. Good mark is taken by Roberts Thompson on the stretch. Got his man under it and fell back to mark it.
There's no doubt the coach should have been looking for a response today. On the back of the St Kilda loss last week, talking about the lack of enthusiasm, the lack of contest, and today they did really want to make a statement early.
Kirky, I've been really impressed with the structures around, particularly the sort of 5 to 7 metres away from the stoppage. Have you noticed that at ground level?
Yeah, you talk about sort of inner and outer type of players and the inside ring and the outside ring. They're definitely, the structures are put in place to cover all the exits, and they've got some players that work really well inside and have got great hands. Minson
did well, got it down to Wallace, whose kick is onto the chest of Higgins. Higgins, who's been busy so far in this term, kicks marginally inside the 50. Johnson reaches over the top. There's Premi, who's been lively.
had a pretty good patch first Premier in the last sort of 20 minutes. Richards had a really good day. Kicks the ball to centre wing, Hargrave. And then Murphy, lovely kick. Griffin. So how busy has Griffin been today? They've been swamped a bit. This will be his 20th disposal. But he and Boyd leading the midfield have been on the back foot again. And who's taken a Cordy in the end? I think off Roughhead. He has.
Yeah, it's good by Ace Cordy. Came in from the side. The long ball coming in from Griffin. Ace Cordy had eyes for it from a long way out. He launched at the ball. That was pretty promising stuff there from the young Western Bulldogs forward.
So he's 21 years of age, just 8 games in his career, 5 of them, in fact, game number 6 this year. So a developing forward, big forward, probably a bit behind where Reed's at, probably a season behind where Reed's at the moment. It's an even bigger version, and that one, is it coming back? Not quite so behind, so something to work on at least.
I stood pretty close to the huddle at three-quarter time, listening to Brendan McCartney. He was very much like the teacher, asking a lot of the questions, the players responding, and then at the back end, it was all about competitiveness. Really need to strengthen up their defensive side of the game. They've got to be a team that's hard to beat defensively.
Shaw darts away, kicks it to the wing, but the mark is taken by Brian Lake.
Clear out. Craig.
He's had a mixed afternoon, Lake. Hasn't been easy down there. Flood of Swans have headed in that direction most times. Good mark is taken in front this time by Roughhead.
Just a glimpse of the future here, the last 2 forward 50s with Cordy and Roughhead taking strong contested marks. Liam Jones not playing today, so the Dogs do have some tall timber for the next couple of years.
It would seem that Jones has fallen out of favour because he came back in as a late inclusion last week and actually showed a bit. His form up until then had been disappointing, but couldn't force his way in today, and probably the weather would have played into that. There goes the kick from Roughhead. That's way offline and behind.
He missed Roughhead and Jones missed important kicks late last week in a tight match, didn't they, against the Geelong? I think Cordy was the one that Jones came in for last week. So 3 not going to go into 2 at the moment. They'll be interesting to see which way they go for the rest of the season. A lot of footy still to be played. You can't see them playing all 3 too often in the one match. Shaw again floating the ball. Now Jack, does he get away from Lake? No, well done Lake. And then Austin, but Jack quickly back on. And then handball by Lake, missing Murphy. Just can't see too often the Dogs will play Cordy, Roughhead and Jones right at the moment.
Not at this stage, not particularly when there isn't one who's actually dominating either. They're all trying to find their feet. So it'll be a case of who's in the best form, and 2 of the 3 will play.
Woodham, Pike, Kennedy. Just handball was a good one, actually. Just nicely weighted, and Hanbury's been outstanding. And this is the Dogs' problem at the moment, is a forward line. Where do they get their goals from? How do they structure around? Jan Siracusa's probably going to kick 30, maybe. Higgins hopefully something similar, but you know, no Barry Hall, and where do those goals come from?
Off the ground by Jack is centering soccer, if you like. After the football goes Dixon in the grasp, sent it the Bulldogs' way. Liberatore, quick hands. Cross could have been pushed in the back. After the footy goes McGlynn, held without it. He'll get the free kick.
We just saw moments before, Dennis, that Brendan McCartney is actually on the boundary, and Brett Kirk commented that his coaching style is very much teacher-like at three-quarter times. He'll be taking that in this last quarter, having the one-on-one FaceTime with his individual players, talking them through exactly what he wants.
Shaw combining there across half-back. And they get the ball further afield.
Geez, Reece Shaw's been prominent today. If I was an opposition coach and looking at the Swans and how well they've rebounded, he's someone you'd want to put some work into, I think, in the next few weeks.
Armstrong gave it to Grundy, who kicks close to the boundary line, jumping high down there. Reed, the forward, but reduced to the role of spoiler, just punches it across the line.
Well, Shaw's, since quarter time, been the best man on the ground. I don't think any doubt about that. I mean, I'm not sure who'll get the votes today, but his last 2.5 quarters have been dynamic. But the midfield collectively was so great in that opening term and through the first half. Gee, I've been impressed with Pike's tapping, building the ball forward, and then Murphy. Can Pike get better? I mean, Brett, he's 28 years of age, and we know his story. He came to footy late, rugby player and all that, but I feel like he is getting better.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he's only had a small time in the game. Like most players have played since the age of 6 or 7. He picked up the game about 3 or 4 years ago. He continues to develop, and he's uber professional. Just wants to do everything to learn and grow.
O'Keefe to Armstrong. Little give didn't get to, or got to Hanbury. Wasn't far enough, and Dalhouse got it off Dixon. Getting the ball out wide. Roughhead, well done to Picken. Couple of goals in about a minute and a half or something in that second quarter. Jones Siracusa, well, Smith's had a great day on him. Back he goes to Liberatore, smothered by Matner, back to Wallace, and then cross the ground to his old mate in Boyd. And Boyd, good-looking kick, fading just through a behind. When I said old mate, I didn't mean the fact that 29 he was old, but they're the best of friends.
We saw Lewis Jetta take that game on in the third quarter. Pickens now going back onto him in the last quarter to shut him down for the last quarter to carrying that ball.
Johnson to the irrepressible Shaw. A little chip pass. Getting on his back foot there, I think, was Dennis Lane, and as a result, he was slow to go, but it works out okay because Shaw kept coming. Gives it across towards Hanbury. Just pops it down to Jack. The last 5 scores in the game have been dogs behinds. So pardon the expression. It's close to the boundary line. Picked up there by Kennedy. Hanbury. That sequence may be broken here, although they've got other ideas. Cross working in tandem with Austin. That was a dangerous kick. Punched away by McVeigh. Kept the ball alive. Look away hand pass with the outside of the boot. Jetta. Has he kicked the goal?
Yep.
I think he has. Gee, he's got some nice goals today. That's 3 absolute clinkers.
Can't wait to see him in September in a big game, just to see what he can bring to the table. He's got so much to offer. So he's kicked 3 goals for the 6th time in his career. He hasn't got beyond that in any match, but he's, you reckon in 2 years' time, I mean, what Rioli does for Hawthorn, this bloke's different again, but he's very, very special.
The consistency of Lewis Jetta in his football, particularly this year, has been really good. He can do the freakish things, but I think what would be pleasing the coaching staff would be the consistent team plays.
And as I said, it's going to be fascinating to see him in a big final. Just what can he give the Swans, because he can be a match winner. His 3 goals today have been absolute highlight stuff, haven't they?
Yep.
He's playing his 50th game today and 1 to remember. Kennedy got a finger in there. Matner held up. Dixon trying to get it through. Hargrave, his milestone. Not such a pleasant occasion in the end. And out of play.
Kennedy's hurt his shoulder too, I think.
Gee, well, Parker injured. Kennedy just, he's holding that arm down a bit. That's a lovely kick coming out of the back half, but a fumble by Pike. Used the body there. Handball by O'Keefe, and then Hanbury. Speaking of games, O'Keefe goes past Brett today. 242, Kirky on 241, so their positions change in the top 10 ever for the Swans.
Richards into the path of Jetta. Oh, wow, caught that. That's going to be a free kick. Minson coming hard on McGlynn. Much taller man. That knee, I think, was behind the head as Minson launched himself. It was pretty high up anyway. Watch it again. Oh, yeah, that's going to hurt. That is really going to hurt.
That's amazing courage there by Ben McGlynn.
Also,
didn't take his eyes off the ball for 1 split second.
We've seen a lot of McGlynn. I don't think we've ever seen him do that. Take his eye off the footy. He is fearless to a fault.
He doesn't flinch, Ben McGlynn. He's a tough little man.
Well, he's about 25 metres out, slight angle, and he comes, and the tough little man gets his 2nd goal. Swans just running away with this one.
He's got a good return at the SCG. He's played 17 games, 25 goals here, so it's probably his best ground in terms of, part of that's the fact that he has developed a bit more as a player. And that's a gutsy mark. He didn't know what exactly was coming, but he knew something, and it turned out to be the heaviest guy, I guess, for the Bulldogs coming at him. So what about this draw for the Swans? There's 7-3.
Yeah, there's the 2 games there against the Bombers and the Cats are really going to shape up the top 8.
And maybe the top 4.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, they'll be certainly with Essendon. It's sort of a top 4 battle, isn't it? Essendon on 8-2, the Swans on 7-3. And the Cats have got a massive couple of matches. Oh, coming up, nearly a fantastic mark by Boyd. So really interesting season. Johnson out wide. Now the race is on. Jetta and Picken. Picken's gone back onto him. And then Murphy, Picken looking for it in the boundary throw-in. What do you reckon with the Swans? Maybe Brett comes in. I mean, are they making up the numbers in the top 8, or do you feel like they, in a year where it's spread a bit, do you feel like they've got a chance of really getting their teeth into it?
Absolutely. I think with the non-Victorian sides, we're talking Adelaide and West Coast and Sydney, have a great advantage of playing some games at home and a really strong home ground advantage. And this is a really interesting open year, so certainly they're right in amongst it.
Could win a flag?
Well, funnily enough, since 1997-98, it hasn't been as open as this, and there's no reason why they can't.
Roughhead drives it deep into attack. Thought Grundy could have got a free kick there, close to the boundary line. Pushed towards that boundary line by Mattner, and out it goes.
I agree with Tom's summary. I think for Swans to finish top 4, they really need to win all their home games. The thing that they lack at the moment is probably that prominent forward, that's reliable, that's going to kick 4 or 5 a week.
Nice bonus, though, to have Adam Goodes coming back. Plenty of time for him to get fit in the run-up to the finals. You heard his timetable when we spoke to him at three-quarter time. So I don't think if he comes back and runs into fitness, the break will do him any harm at all. Maintaining the position for the Swans was probably the hardest part of that equation. And today, at least, they've taken back some ground, and the top team's losing in this round. So it's a good thing for them. Cooney snaps it goal. Dannerwood's full forward. Grundy spills the mark, finds it quickly, and knocks it across the line.
Well, the last time that teams 1 and 2 lost to bottom sides was back in 1997. And that was when the Crows and St Kilda played after slow starts as well, and Crows won it outside the top 4. So it's one of those sorts of years where anything can happen.
So you're talking about the same round?
Yeah,
the top teams losing to the bottom. OK. Well, that is ancient history, isn't it? So Wallace back to Boyd. Boyd getting close to 30 disposals again, but he hasn't had a great impact today. The midfield battle's been won by the Swans, and they did it early, didn't they? They kicked goals. They won that hard battle. Armstrong getting a go, as he did a few weeks back on this ground. He's been the sub twice now in his 2 matches. And for the Dogs, where they sort of drop off the peloton today, don't they? At the back of that long gap of long list of teams that maybe, you know, mathematically were in the hunt, but they're not going to be in September this year. But they've got to build now and work on things. So Murphy, usually a good kick. Murphy bangs it to about 30 metres. Concordi build it away. Well played by Richards. Higgins. Jim Mattner just got in there, got down lower quicker, and Armstrong's handball was pretty good.
Oh.
Grundy made a bit of a meal of it. Cordy gets it from Liberatore. Good. A goal. Deserved it. Wouldn't be disappointed with Cordy, Dennis, I don't reckon.
No, that was a very good kick, actually. I mean, you almost expected the big fella to miss it, but he put it through on a very sharp angle. We've liked him. I think Tom and I discussed it earlier. He's happy to push up in front. Front position doesn't worry him, and he'll take more marks there than anywhere else, given his size. (117 plays 39 matches to come for the Dogs, Tom.
Well, Port Adelaide have come back right in form, and you'd have to say so of the Lions. So that's a pretty tough month for the Dogs.
Yeah, Lions winners today, for those people who missed that news, in a thriller at the Gabba. Over the top side, the West Coast Eagles, who remain top, but their margin has been narrowed. Essendon actually crept closer despite their result last night. And historically, as Jude Bolton takes a very good mark on the outer side and continues to rack up his possessions, he's up to 38 now. 38 possessions. This is his going, his natural habitat in the rain and the slippery surface of the SCG. Historically, I reckon round 7, 8, 9 produce quite a few upsets, and so too just before the finals, I reckon, because I think players towards the finals, in the sides that aren't going to make it, it's a last gasp, trying to salvage something from the season. And at this time of the year, it almost becomes pointless unless you make some defiant stand, Tom.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. And I think it was Carlton one year in 1995 had a remarkable year and lost 2 games.
Here it is,
to
Brian.
Sydney and St Kilda, it might have been.
Yeah, they won their first 9, I think, lost those 2, won their next 16, and both those teams were way down the list. So that was a crazy year. I mean, they were magnificent. Beat Geelong in that final. So Roberts Thompson to full forward. Belted away by Austin, and then Minson wanting the boundary line.
Sure.
Bolton's on career high, by the way, Dennis. Previously 36, I think you said 38 today. Bird kicks to full forward, and there you go. So Jude Bolton, that's not bad. Game 289, 32 years of age, career high figures, eh? That's a remarkable effort, isn't it? So deep into his career.
And it hasn't been uncontested footy either. He's won every one of those possessions. Fantastic game. Ticked over 40 now.
It's amazing what a peak at a media career can do, isn't it? One day with us, he said, well, I don't want to go there. I better find some form, and he has off the boot. It's against Shaw. That's, if you'll pardon the pun, the first time he's put a foot wrong. He put it out of bounds on the full, and Dixon gets the free. Kicks inside the forward 50. Offhands Dalhouse. Goes down towards full forward. His intent is to have it run on, but it was touched anyway, and it's wide of the mark.
So we spent a bit of time talking about what perhaps might happen in the second half of the year. How do you see the 8, Bruce, right now?
Well, the key is Richmond. I think they've got a great draw. Well, they've had the toughest draw just about of the lot, and they've withstood it so well. So I reckon they're in Richmond, and someone's got to come out. So next Friday night might tell a tale. Carlton and Geelong, because Carlton's next month is horrible on paper. Here's Austin, back to Dixon, back to Picken. Just down the line. Still think St Kilda are not completely dead in the water, and Dockers look like they might be in trouble, but I feel like there's at least one and possibly two. Shaw, Armstrong running hard, and that's a good kick. Getting it towards McGlynn. Well played, rather to Bolton. Well played by Higgins. To Lake.
Geez, the players are buggered, Bruce. They've nearly come to a standstill. It's been a long slog today.
Well, you mentioned right at the start that those early goals were vital because they were up, they were energetic, and the Swans got 9 of the 10 kicked in the first quarter.
Brett getting technical as the ball goes close to the boundary line. It goes out. We'll have a throw-in out there.
What do you think, Tom? How many are out that will get in?
I did look at the 8 last night and thought it looked pretty settled, but seeing Richmond play on Friday night, they were outstanding, so it'd be very hard to deny them a spot in the 8, and I think the next couple of Friday nights might sort it all out.
Boyd unloading inside the 50. Cordy rather pays the price for being in front. Richards with the judgment behind. Goes to Grundy. He decides to bounce across that full back line. Now he spots a man on the move. Some urgency all of a sudden with Heath Grundy, and he puts it on the chest of Hanbury, who's been outstanding as well today. That's his 30th possession. And he finds Jetta on the lead. Jetta with 3 goals, all of them gems, goes down towards half forward. Despite the weather, it's been something of a highlight reel as Bolton leads the race to the football. It goes out of bounds. As far as the Sydney Swans are concerned, so many highlights.
Yeah, it's been an incredible round. 3 huge upsets. Certainly the biggest of the year, Melbourne, and not far off it with Brisbane and Port Adelaide as well. Cordy's quick kick forward. Shaw's been fantastic today, building the ball away. Hanbury, well, he'd have to get a vote, wouldn't he? Just thinking about their midfield, Dennis, and also Tom and Brett. Usually with the midfield, there's a pecking order. With the Swans, I mean, Kennedy's jumped up this year, maybe gone to number 1, but you feel they're pretty even, aren't they? You know, Parker's off at the moment, but Hanbury and Jack and Bolton and Kennedy, Goods, McVeigh and Goods. I mean, you try to get a pecking order there. It just changes week to week. I think that's a good thing.
That's a great thing to have some real balance through that and some real unpredictability when you're preparing to play against an opposition side. Adam Goods adds so much to this side, and when he did go down late in the game against Adelaide, that was a turning point. So get him back and fit at the right time of the year, as Dennis said, it's pretty positive stuff.
So O'Keefe, Kennedy, lovely give. McGlynn, I think, had spent it before he actually got it onto his boot. Liberatore couldn't quite. Well done, Kennedy. Back to Armstrong. Left foot, won't be a goal, won't be a score, and out. So when you think of the Swans and you think of their midfield, who's the first bloke? Who's their number 1? Who's the gun?
I still think Adam Goods is the gun and plays through there, but Josh Kennedy's probably the one who has been the most prominent player this year.
It's a very good midfield away. It's outstanding. It's great here at the SCG, isn't it? Here's Cooney. Griffin just jabs it to midfield. Dixon. Cooney runs on. He's battled hard, Cooney. The longer it's gone, the better he's played, actually. Yeah. Feeds it back to Austin. Rather untidy kick, bounces it out to Roughhead. Cooney, 25 possessions. I'd venture to say most of those have come in the second half. I think he had probably 11 or 12 at half-time.
Just
10,
watching
10, Dennis,
just
10.
watching the smart defenders here in Grundy and Richards, both playing inside their players. So they let their opposition players go to spots where they're not going to get the footy. They zone inside and they're getting the ball all the time because they read the ball so well.
So Cooney, Dennis, 15 since half-time. So Richards in the back half. Reed's been really jumping at the footy today, hasn't he, with a fair bit of confidence. And was that out on the full? Not quite, so boundary throw and touched off the boot maybe.
Just a question for Kirky down the boundary. The way he's jumping at the ball indicates to me that perhaps he's had some niggling injury and suddenly he feels freed up from that today, Brett.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Dennis. Sometimes it's just a confidence thing. So if you're going for your catches, and he does go for them, and he clunks his marks. But today he's found his hands, and hopefully it's a good thing for the Swans.
So Austin, bad luck for him. He's battled hard, so he's off the ground. Jack's been terrific.
Just hooks it down towards half forward. Not a ball Lake really wanted, and he goes out of bounds. Hanbury underneath him.
What also, Dennis, is there's been a few other big guys down there today in Roberts, Thompson and Mumford sharing that workload for the contest in the air.
Well, he seems to have turned a corner anyway this afternoon. Had it been fine, a lot more of those high balls may have stuck. Sometimes though, Tom, that's an interesting aside. You get the wet weather and a lot of the restrictions and the sort of self-doubts go because there is a reason to miss marks.
Yep.
So you actually go at them with that confidence he's shown today.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's a beautiful kick. Is it McGlynn?
Yep.
Just off hands and across the line.
And I think given the conditions also, Dennis, that you're right, the shackles go, and then if you get a couple of early goals, that starts to flow pretty well. And this has been a huge win for the Swans. The big test is coming next Saturday night when they play the Bombers down in Melbourne. But they've got to take huge confidence out of this win.
That one by Hanbury, just cut off by Griffin. Gee, that was a clever handball by Jack to McGlynn to Dennis Lane, and that's a clever kick to centre half forward. Roughhead getting back. Kennedy gets the handball to O'Keefe, gets it back to Jetta. Well, he doesn't miss these days, Jetta. He's kicked 4 for the first time in his career in his 50th match. It's a good cake today, and he's been the icing, hasn't he? Since half-time, all the goals have come for him since half-time. I mean, the match was won by them, but Picken had the hard roll on him early, but he's really been something since half-time. He's a beautiful kick, field kick for goal. And Dennis, he's one of those blokes I just love watching play.
A lot of guys with milestones have celebrated this weekend with goals, haven't they? Harry, was that his 100th?
Yep, it was his 100th.
Yeah.
Terrific setup here again by the Swans, and great composure by Lewis Jetta. That's 4 in his 100th and
50th.
50th.
Yeah, 50th.
I've jumped the gun a little bit.
Well, he'll get to 100 and maybe do it again, Tom, but we'll have to wait a while. Here's Richards. I can't wait for his next 50, Tom. Here he goes again, running hard and running strong and then kicking the ball. Where's Reed? He's making a contest, but well done in the front by Addison to Murphy. And then Murphy out wide and Matner. Well, that is a spoil, isn't it?
Just thinking too, Jack Revolt, 100th go.
Yep, 8 in his 100th. Harry Taylor, 6 in his 100th.
What was Buddy playing? His 150.
Second, I think.
That'll do. That's a
Might have
milestone.
been first.
I tell you who will remember it, and that's Tomo,
Yes.
North Melbourne.
Scott Thompson's having a great weekend because Scotty Thompson had his colours lowered by Ryan Crowley, I think, yesterday. So very rare for him not to get huge numbers. Dangerfield helping out with Sloane.
Well, across half back, here's Jack. That's a clever kick, and that is a gutsy mark. Given the scoreboard, McGlynn going back into unexplored territory, and I guess he knew Pickens was somewhere in the vicinity. And they're bad ingredients with about a minute and a half to go. You know that Pickens probably quite angry too, and is just looking to run into somebody.
Wouldn't have mattered who was coming. I don't think Ben McGlynn would have taken his eyes off the pill. It's a very productive game now. 16 touches.
Wow. And a real percentage booster. I mean, 3 goals to half-time, 2 since half-time for the Dogs, and McGlynn goes in and kicks his 3rd. So it's approaching 100 points now. problematic they'll get that because the clock is running down, but I don't think anyone saw this coming. Certainly not us, in as much as we saw the Dogs last Friday or Friday week ago, and they played very competitively and had their chances to win that game against the Cats. So for this today, it's most unexpected.
So 91 points here in the last minute, basically, of the match. Since round 3, Dogs have lost to Collingwood by 21 and Geelong by 20 only. So their previous biggest loss for the year was the Saints in round 3, 63 points. Of course, we know that Sydney won by 101 points here a fortnight ago. They've got a 91 today, so their percentage is up 11% today. Dowhouse there with McGlynn has been one of many stars. I tell you what, if you're giving 3-2-1 for the Swans, it'd be a tough job. I mean, they'll get the 3-2-1. It sort of changed from one half to the other. Colton probably had it at half time, I guess, the 3 or close to it, wouldn't he, with Hanbury?
Yep.
So Wallace from Griffin. Just some of the numbers, Dennis. The bloke's over 30. I mean, Bolton's over 40. Shaw's over 30. Hanbury's 35 now. Jack's 34. They're just massive numbers here. And forward again.
The Swans have had 100 more possessions today, Bruce.
Sure. It's, what's that, 4 very good players.
Yep.
Doing good things. So, well, they can really launch themselves from here. If they can get that win next week, they will be pushing into the top 4. Kennedy kicks it right to the goal square, and in fact, it's a behind.
Third time they've beaten the Dogs by over 90 points. And they're just pushing on. I mean, it's as if this is a timeless game. They just haven't slowed down, have they?
It was what Adam Good said at 3/4 time, wasn't it?
Yep. They're just grinding them out.
Today also highlights the importance of the Boilermaker from Bunyip, Shane Mumford. He's just great in that inside work and gives those midfielders plenty of ball on the inside.
I wonder whether he prefers the moniker professional footballer or Boilermaker. We must ask him. Ball's out of bounds. Siren is about to sound. What a resounding victory for the Sydney Swans. Always hard to beat here, but today they've been relentless. This is an outstanding win. Best percentage, Bruce said, in the competition.
So fantastic effort by the Swans. Set up with that flurry of goals early. Bolton leading from the front. So Sydney in 5th spot tonight with the best percentage in the competition. It was 92 points over the Dogs at the SCG.
Swans will go in and win overall, while the loyal Suns are marching.